Hey folks, how you all doing? Back here for another fight card prediction which takes place next Saturday night. I think it's the 24th of January from Stockholm, Sweden, Tele2 Arena. Alexander Gustafsson versus Anthony Rumble Johnson, UFC on Fox 14. A big stadium show which is nice for over here in Europe. Looking forward to the cards. A lot of newcomers that come in which I think are going to be good additions to the UFC here. So let's get straight into it. We've got in the flyweight division, we've got Neil Seery against Chris Beal. Neil Seery, just a great guy. Can I say this? The guy works a full-time job and comes into the UFC and does fairly well. More power to the guy. 2 fights in the UFC. He lost his first fight, his debut fight, to Brad Pickett in London. And he came into that fight pretty much expecting Brad Pickett to kind of stand and bang with him. And Brad Pickett tried and got hit with some big shots. And once he got hit with that big shot, Brad Pickett went for the takedowns. He didn't want to stand and bang with Neil Seery, which is saying something. And lost that fight. It was actually a lot closer than what people thought in that fight. Went into his second fight in Dublin last year against Phil Harris. Now, Phil Harris, really, he was one of the first kind of flyweights around in Europe here. Possibly he shouldn't have been in that fight in Dublin. And Neil Seery totally bossed him for the unanimous decision victory. He just dominated him everywhere. Chris Beal, he was an Ultimate Fighter a few seasons back with Ronda Rousey as his coach. I think he's had a couple of fights in the UFC. Beat Patrick Hughes with a massive flying knee in that first round. He didn't look great at all. His striking was horrible. His movement wasn't very good. Hughes was having the best. Williams was having the best. I'm sorry, and he came out with that flying knee and really hurt. And knocking out Patrick Hughes for the win and got a big bonus at the end of it as well. Close fight. I think if Seery can stop the takedowns, say Beal in his second fight against Takeki Matsuda, didn't look great really the whole fight, but he fought smart, got the takedowns, got up, hit him with some really nice combinations, take him back down again and got the decision victory. This is a close fight. I think if Seery can keep it off the ground, he's got a good chance here, but I'm going to go Chris Beal by unanimous decision. Into the heavyweight division, we've got Viktor Pesta against Konstantin Erikin. Pesta, his second fight in the UFC, fought in Berlin last year against Ruslan Magomedov and he lost that fight. Goes for his takedowns from really weird positions, and he needs to kind of stop that, because if he does that with this guy, he's not going to. I don't think he's going to take this guy down. He's a hand-to-hand combat sambo guy, so he's really hard to take down. He got hit with like a really hard head kick against Magomedov, which hurt him quite a bit. Went on to lose that fight. He's against Erikan here, who I've been watching his fights, and this guy, if you're gonna be playing counter move, this is a good guy to throw in your team here. He should really be a light heavyweight, but the guy hits hard, and he hits hard with both hands. Very patient fighter. Picks his shots very well, doesn't rush in. He beat Dave Huckabee before. He's Brett Rogers, who's the only guy that's really tried to take him down, and he just threw that to the side. He wasn't even close to taking Erikan down. He picks his shots very well, as I said, and he can hit you with a big left or big right, which he's did in numerous fights of his. He's like 11th fight in 2 years, so he's a very active fighter. I think Erikan's going to catch Pesta here, and I think he's going to knock him out in the first round. So I'm going to go Erikan, first round knockout. Next up, we've got Mirsad Bektic, excuse me, against Paul Redmond. Paul Redmond's getting the call up here on short notice, about 10 days beforehand, and he's going down to a new division as well, which is going to be really tough. A lot of you might not know Redmond, especially if you don't watch the European circuit here. He fought in Cage Warriors. He fought Alexis Sadivis last time out and caught him with a lovely toe hold. This is the guy you cannot rule out anywhere, Redmond, because he can catch. He's dangerous all the time, and if he gets a hold of something, he will take it off, especially down the leg locks, toe holds, etc. But he's against a really polished prospect here in Mirsad Bektic, his second fight in the UFC. He was first brought to my attention in the RFA, which I'm a big fan of. Came into the UFC, fought Chaz Skelly. I don't think he fought very well. Picked a few nice shots out, but came away with the decision victory. I think the nerves kind of got the better of him in that one. I fully expect Bektic to kind of have enough to keep Redmond at bay here, but don't count Redmond out one bit. But I'm going to go Bektic by decision. Next up, we've got Mairbek Taisumov against Tony Christodoulou. This should be a fairly easy victory for Taisumov. He's coming off a beautiful victory over Marcin Bandel. We hit him with a nice shot, took him out inside I think the first 60 seconds, and he's shown real improvement in his striking with his combinations from that fight. And I'm looking forward to seeing him here against Christodoulou. I haven't seen much of him. He fights in the Greek fight scene. Trains a little bit at the American top team. Trains with Robert Whiteford, the UFC fighter from here in Scotland, who says good things about him, but haven't seen enough of him. And Taisumov is coming on, so I'm going to go Mairbek Taisumov by knockout in the first round. Light heavyweight division, we've got Nikita Krylov against Stanislav Nedkov. Nedkov coming back after 2 years. Last time he was in the octagon, he lost to Tom Watson. Really bad cardio. He will need to take Krylov out in the first round if he has any chance here. He just plods along and tries and hits you with a big shot. But he has a chance in this fight against Krylov, who is very reckless, comes forward, leaves his chin in the air. Been going back and forward in this, but I'm going to go Krylov. I think he's just got enough. If he takes him down, I think he'll pound him out. And I'm going to go Krylov by a first round knockout as well. Next up, we've got Andy Ogle against Makwan Amirkhani. Andy Ogle, probably shouldn't be in the UFC. Lost 4 of his last 5. His only wins against Josh Grisby. He's just this guy. He always comes. He never gives up, and he gives you his everything, and that's something that's to be commended. Lost last time out to Maximo Blanco. Got hurt in the first round, and took him about 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes to recover. Once he did recover, he actually did very, very well against Blanco. The fight got a lot closer from them, but Blanco already did too much damage beforehand. He's fighting at American Top Team. He's trained at American Top Team for this camp, and I've been talking to a few guys there, and they say he's coming on leaps and bounds, and really improving there under Uriah Faber, Martin Campman, and the crew up there at Team Alpha Male. He's against Makwan Amirkhani here, another debutant to the UFC. Seen a few of this guy's fights for at least a year ago, and when I heard he was coming back, I watched more of his fights, and from what I've seen, the guy really doesn't have much of a stand-up game. This guy comes alive when you go at the bottom. He's got some beautiful chokes, he's got some great transitions, he's dangerous off his back. He can catch you with chokes, Bravo chokes, and he can initiate really good scrambles, and from these scrambles he catches you in chokes like he did against Tom Duquesnoy, who is a guy that people really need to keep an eye on, because he's going to be in the UFC this year, I've no doubt about it. 21-year-old from France, who is just a really good prospect, but he was getting his ass handed to him in that fight. He was getting fucked up, and he caught Duquesnoy in a Bravo choke, put him to sleep, and it was a beautiful, beautiful submission. So you've got to be careful with this guy on the ground. I like Amirkhani here. I think he's got more than enough to beat Andy Ogle. I want Andy Ogle to win, but I'm going to pick Amirkhani. Next up, we've got Kenny Robertson against Sultan Aliev. Kenny Robertson, a guy who is dangerous. You have to watch out, especially with submissions. He catches you with funky stuff like he did with Brock Jardine. Very limited on his feet. His gas tank's a little bit iffy. Against the guy here whose only loss is to Doug Marshall in Bellator a couple of years back, and a lot of wins via a knockout as well. Again, from what I've seen, not great opponents, but he's very, as I said with Amirkhani, he's very patient, picks his shot, he's got a nice left jab which leads to a nice left hook, and once he gets the body lock, he'll take you down and he'll pound you from there. I like Aliev in this fight. I think the longer the fight goes, he's going to hurt Robertson, so I'm going to go Aliev by another knockout at the end of the second round. Next up, we've got Nico Musoke against Albert Tumenov. I think this is a great fight. Really good matchmaking by the matchmakers here. Musoke's coming off a win against Alexander Yakovlev last time they were in Sweden, and Tumenov's coming off a double head kick knockout of Matt Dwyer, and before that Anthony Lapsley as well. Musoke, I think he's going to want to try and look to pretty much put Tumenov against the fence and try and just pepper him with shots, try and take him down, try and get some ground and pound. He has got some decent combinations on his feet when he decides to use them, but I think he's a little bit chinny, so that's something to look out for on this game here. this fight here, sorry. Tumenov, a very, very polished and technical kickboxer who has got some really powerful shots, and if he catches with him like he did with Dwyer, he hit Dwyer with one, he got up and he hit him with that game and put him to sleep. Beautiful knockout, and he did it before with Lapsley as well. So this is a tough fight, but I think Musoke's just got a bit too much better clinch work, and will take him down and he'll just kind of pound him. May get a finish, but I think this might go to decision. So I'm going to go Nico Musoke via decision. On to the main card on Fox. This is a fucking horrible fight. Akira Corassani. It could be one of these horrible fuckers that really turn out to be really, really good and be a slugfest. Akira Corassani against Sam Sicilia. Sam Sicilia, he just loves to kind of stand up and really make it a fun fight, pretty much. And Akira Corassani is more the kind of similar kind of fighter. Corassani's coming off that knockout. He got knocked out against Max Holloway back in the last time they were in Sweden. Tried to stand with Holloway, whose striking's coming on in leaps and bounds. And Sam Sicilia lost by submission to Katsunori Kakono last time out. As I say, this could be a fight which could be absolute dog shit, or it could be really, really good. I expect it to be dog shit. Can't pick a winner. I mean, like, who do you pick? But I've kind of decided I'm going to go with Corassani. I think he might just catch him with something and take him out, but it's one of these pick-em fights. If you're betting on this fight, just don't do it, because there's no confidence in either guy. So I'm going to go with Corassani by TKO in the second. On to the the second fight on the main card, sorry. We have Phil Davis against Ryan Bader in the light heavyweight division. A fight of two wrestlers, with Bader especially, he's got some great power. With Davis, he's got some beautiful kicks. Coming off a win over Glover Teixeira at UFC 179. I think Phil Davis is just going to have too much for Ryan Bader here. I think he's actually better than Ryan Bader pretty much everywhere, maybe except for the hand striking with the punches. I think Bader's probably a little bit better, but I think Phil Davis is just a little bit better everywhere, and he's going to take... I think this fight might look a lot like Jon Jones versus Ryan Bader at UFC 126. Took him down, went for the submission and got it. I'm going to go out on a limb here and say Phil Davis by submission. On to the co-main, we have Dan Henderson, the legend, against Gegard Mousasi. Mousasi's coming off that loss to Jacare, and Dan Henderson's coming off that mauling by Daniel Cormier. A pretty fun fight, but I think Gegard Mousasi is just a little bit too fight smart for Dan Henderson, and as long as he avoids that big H-bomb from Alexander Gustafsson, he should pretty much get the decision victory here. But Dan Henderson has a puncher's chance, no doubt about it. But I'm going to go Mousasi by decision. And on to the main event of the night, we have Alexander Gustafsson against Anthony Rumble Johnson, probably for the next fight to face Jon Jones whenever he decides to come back. Gustafsson, this is his first fight since Jimmy Manoa, March last year, I think it was. Rumble Johnson's coming off that... who's he coming off a victory over? Little Nog. He knocked out Little Nog. Then he was off for a bit. He got suspended. Yeah, Nogueira. And before that, Phil Davis. And then it was Mike Kyle and Orlovsky back in the WSOF. Looking at this, as long as Alexander Gustafsson is really smart and keeps on his feet like he usually does and fights at range, keeps away from Johnson's power punching and his kicks as well, I think Alexander Gustafsson could have a fairly easy night, which is kind of hard to say because Rumble Johnson, since he's come back to the UFC, has looked like a killer, like he has before. And I want to pick Anthony Johnson. I've no idea. I've said that since the fight was made. But I think Alexander Gustafsson, being in Sweden, I think he's just generally the better fighter as well. He fights at his range is really good. He fights at range really good, and his movement has come along a long way since I first seen him way back in his UFC debut. I think he may get the decision victory here. I'm going to go Alexander Gustafsson by decision. A really decent fight card. I actually like all the newcomers, and I like looking at new fighters coming in. So that is my picks for UFC on Fox 14 from Stockholm. I'll be back next week for UFC 183 Silva versus Diaz. Come follow me on Twitter, BigBilber7MMA. Come follow the good guys that I speak to all the time on there that we play counter move games on. Shout out to all you guys, and I'll be back next week for UFC 183. Take care.